It seems like Dexter peaked at some point and has not come close to matching that since. So where was the beginning of the end? It's quite a popular opinion that Dexter Season 4 is the peak of the series. If Dexter ended after Season 4, it would be considered one of the best television series in history. But it kept going.
Oh, God.
Dexter Season 5 had the unenviable task of following Season 4, which is widely considered the peak of the series, thanks to John Lithgow's chilling performance as the Trinity Killer, the shocking finale, as well as the layered writing and the fantastic execution of the themes within that show. While Season 5 wasn't terrible, it was thematically weaker and felt like a letdown in several ways. Number one, weaker exploration of grief and trauma. Season 4's finale sets up what really should have been a deep dive into Dexter's grief and guilt consequences. For as much as when Dexter has someone on his table, consequences are always brought up. Instead, Season 5 rather quickly moves on from this. If you have the physical media, by the second disc of Season 5, you're not really thinking of Rita anymore, which is wild to me. From there, they shift focus to a new vigilante plotline with Lumen. If you consider how deep the conflict was for Dexter internally throughout Season 4 and seasons before that, how he processes the loss of Rita in Season 5 is actually quite shallow and certainly something I would consider a missed opportunity. Number two, missed potential in Dexter's role as a single father. Another missed opportunity or dropped ball is the fact that Dexter had fears of passing his dark passenger on to his child or children. It could have been an interesting variable, having to inherit 3 children, one of which is Harrison. The internal struggle of how to be a single parent while also not ruining these kids. There's plenty there to go with Dexter through his parental fears. There are some moments where this is sort of covered. Again, if you have the physical media or the Blu-ray disc, it's mostly on that first disc. By the last 2/3 of this series, it's really not a thing. The season, for the most part, kind of shoves the idea of Dexter's struggles and his responsibilities as a parent to the side, right down to having nannies and interviewing different people to watch his kids in favor of a new blonde to go do things with. The last half of Season 5 essentially is what we had from Season 3 with a bit of an attraction twist. It's Prado, except with a woman that looks oddly like Dexter's wife. Number 3, Lumen as a weak thematic parallel. Lumen, played by Julia Stiles, is introduced as a survivor seeking revenge, who also happens to witness what Dexter does. And while her trauma connects her with Dexter's darkness, their relationship lacks the compelling psychological depth seen in his dynamic with Trinity. Unlike the mentorship elements seen in Season 4 with Trinity and Dexter, and in some cases Harry and Dexter, Season 5 seems to present Dexter more as just a savior figure for Lumen, which weakens the moral complexity of his character. Number 4, lack of a strong singular antagonist. Unlike Trinity, who is a multi-layered and terrifying adversary, Season 5 spreads its antagonists thinly across multiple villains, the Barrel Girl grapists, Jordan Chase, etc. Although Jordan Chase is presented as the quote-unquote big bad, he too lacks the same psychological intensity or personal connection to Dexter, making him a forgettable threat. We don't really have much to do with that character until the final act of the season. The big bad is never really looming, honey. If Season 4 was a well thought out prep for the table, Season 5 is something that Dexter would haphazardly pull off in a public bathroom, which also happens in Season 5. Not much planning, just haphazard things happening in a bathroom. Number 5, redundant themes of Dexter finding connection. Season 5 is not the first, but certainly tried to present itself as one of, if not the first, season that explores Dexter's attempt to connect with others. However, in previous seasons, those roles were taken by Rita, Miguel Prado, Brian Moser, and even Trinity in some bizarre way. The Lumen storyline feels like a rushed retread, a cover band of sorts, but with lower stakes. And at season's end, you know she has a complete arc in season 5. And as far as storytelling is concerned, and this is something of a positive for season 5, her arc is over, and she should and was something of a temporary character. Number 6, rushed and anticlimactic ending. Lumen leaving Dexter after exacting revenge feels somewhat unsatisfying. The show takes quite a while to build up their bond, only to have her drop her dark passenger and walking away, which, as far as her character is concerned, yes, is complete. But as far as the attempted bond for Dexter is quite the opposite. His moment to be something of a mentor is taken away, while in some aspects it's complete. As far as the Dexter character, which is the name of the show, it's incomplete. And because this is Dexter's show, it basically leaves him in the same place that he started. And his development essentially is reduced to, I'm over my wife who died. Now I'm ready to do Dexter things again. Also, I have less kids to be concerned with. He gets off with less responsibility as far as this season is concerned. Season 5 really has side plots that feel like filler. The Quinn and Liddy subplot about Quinn suspecting Dexter of, well, something, was a weak attempt to recreate the Dokes dynamic, but without really earning the tension. On top of that, the Miami Metro elements felt more like distractions rather than integral parts of the story. As they start doing more and more in the later seasons of Dexter, something that feels like a genuine threat is very easily handled just in time for the season to end. 8. Loss of narrative momentum. Season 4 had a tight, escalating narrative with clear stakes. Season 5 feels more meandering, with Dexter engaging in side quests rather than dealing with the direct fallout of Trinity's actions. Oh yeah, and the loss of his wife. And none of it is done in any sort of meaningful way. It's season 5 where these literal get-out-of-jail-free cards are printed at an alarming rate for the Dexter character. Season 5 isn't bad, but it just lacks the urgency, the thematic weight that season 4 did. It's hard to compare a season of Dexter to season 4, but considering how season 4 ends, giving you so much to work with, it really is disappointing to see how quickly they blast through some serious elements. There were dark and challenging places that season 5 could have gone, and they present some what ifs in the first couple of episodes, but erase it all for the crime of the week type thing. And oh yeah, overarching connective tissue that isn't anywhere as fulfilling as season 4 is. To think that within 4 episodes, they decide to pivot back to a vigilante arc, it feels more like a detour, or maybe even just a lack of really embracing the opportunity. Trinity was a perfect cautionary tale. On the surface, Arthur Mitchell had it all: a family, a structured routine, and a long-standing ability to evade capture. An underlying theme with Arthur also was that he didn't need to kill. He wasn't that of an addict, which Dexter was something of a polar opposite to Arthur. But as Dexter dug deeper, he saw the horrifying cost of that double life. Trinity's secret family abuse, his rigid cycles of violence, and his ultimate unraveling served as a warning. The illusion of balance is just that. An illusion. Another element that makes season 4 so fantastic is Dexter literally says, I'm not him, I'm not going to become like him. And with the end of season 4, whether or not you wanted to do that, it happened. Now what are you going to do with that? You have consequences. Never mind, share your secret with someone else and play vigilante tag with your new friend. I didn't like any of the dramatics anyway. Season 5 has the perfect opportunity to take the lesson and force Dexter to confront the reality of raising Harrison alone while maintaining his double life. Instead, the show largely ignores the logistical and emotional weight of single fatherhood. While early episodes show some struggle, like Dexter being overwhelmed with baby duties, but rather than making this the core conflict of Season 5, it quickly pushes Harrison to the background. Let's just get a nanny. The narrative shifts its focus to Lumen's revenge arc, making Dexter's personal stakes feel disconnected from the major change in his life. Just business as usual with less people in his life. Dexter claims responsibility for Rita's death, as Trinity targeted her because of Dexter's interference. But the show doesn't explore the full weight of this guilt in terms of his role as a father, or the fact that he literally says it's my fault to police officers. And it is a show full of detectives. He should be grappling with the question, is Harrison better off without me? Instead, the season moves on too quickly to the Lumen storyline, leaving this theme underdeveloped, if developed at all. One of the most chilling moments of Season 4 is Dexter's realization that Trinity functioned as a family man while also being a monster. Now, with Rita gone, the illusion of Dexter's normal life is shattered. He no longer has the cover. Without that cover of marriage and a stable home, he should have been under even more scrutiny from Miami Metro, Child Protective Services, a therapist, or even Rita's family. But the show doesn't fully explore the ramifications of Dexter being a single father with a very suspicious past. Season 4 ended with baby Harrison sitting in a pool of Rita's blood, mirroring Dexter's own childhood trauma that we've been shown so many times throughout the Dexter series. This was a perfect setup for a season that explored whether Dexter's son would be affected by his darkness. Would he grow up like Dexter? Would Dexter see himself in Harrison and fear he was creating another monster? Would Harrison assume the role of his dark passenger? Would Dexter be Harrison's dark passenger? Instead, the show barely covers any of this, doesn't focus on much of it at all, and shifts immediately to the Lumen story. The show fails to follow through on Dexter's suspicious behavior at the crime scene. One of the biggest missed opportunities for dramatics in a season-long arc is the fact that the first thing that Dexter says to open the season is, "It's my fault." I mean, at least Quinn picks up on it, and at least Deb thinks, wow, that's kind of weird that you said that. In reality, when police arrive at a crime scene and a husband says, "This is my fault," he instantly becomes the prime suspect. And let us not forget that this is Miami Metro, where just 2 years earlier, someone was pointing the finger at Dexter. Again, detectives. Instead, this crucial moment is brushed aside way too quickly. How could the show have handled this better? You could make the entire season about Dexter being the primary suspect. And again, sprinkle in crimes of the week, which they did a fantastic job of doing for 4 seasons before this. A plot, B plot, C plot. Later on, you get D, E, F plots. Trinity is dead, and Miami Metro doesn't immediately know he was responsible for Rita's death. Given that Dexter was married to the victim and showed suspicious behavior, and again, was accused of suspicious behavior just a year or 2 earlier, he should have been interrogated relentlessly, while maybe not by Miami Metro, certainly by the FBI. Instead, the investigation is almost non-existent, reduced to a, yeah, we know where you were when this happened. Okay, let's move on to our new storyline. Quinn's suspicions should have had more weight. The show kind of flirts with Quinn really chasing this element down, suspecting Dexter, and even going to certain lengths of looking into it. But this never really pays off, and again, the beginning of the end, this is one of the moments where the writers or showrunners or whoever of Dexter, they print up these get out of jail free cards for Dexter's character, putting him in rather dramatic, intense situations only to just make the thing go away within 2 or 3 weeks. A season-long arc of Quinn investigating Dexter while Dexter tries to stay a step ahead of him, while also raising Harrison alone, no nanny, could have been a much more compelling storyline, certainly much more compelling than the Lumen revenge subplot. More fallout from Rita's death in Dexter's social circle. Rita was well liked, and her death should have had major repercussions on Dexter's relationships with Deb, Aster, Cody. Instead, the show glosses over their grief and 86's Aster and Cody within 3 episodes. A season where Dexter has to prove he's still a loving, capable father and brother, while being a suspect would have raised the stakes significantly. But the idea is merely presented and done away with far too quickly. In closing, Season 5 had all the ingredients to be a deeply introspective, thematically rich continuation of Season 4. It's all there in the finale of Season 4 alone. You have so much to go on. Instead, it takes the easy way out, sidelining most of Dexter's fatherhood, the struggles within, and the potential police scrutiny in favor of a more conventional retread of sorts of yet another revenge plot. In my opinion, this marks the moment where Dexter truly started shying away from the truly dark, character-driven storytelling that made earlier seasons so compelling. So, for what it's worth, Season 5 is the beginning of the end for Dexter for me, but certainly not the bottom of the barrel. You want to talk about religion? Click that subscribe button. Let me know down below how you feel. Are you on board with my thesis? How do you feel about Season 5? If you don't agree with me, where is the beginning of the end of Dexter? Or if you disagree further, how awesome has Dexter been every single season? I appreciate you watching this. We'll see you next time. I've been Charles, otherwise known as Sipo. Have a day.